Alex Pault, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Talking Timepieces, where we talk about watch collecting and horology. Today we're going to be taking a look at this Mido Ocean Star Chrono, a really nice watch, and a good value too, especially when you compare it to some of the other diving chronos that are available in the marketplace. Before I turn the camera around though, please remember to subscribe if you like this content and at least leave a like. It really helps the channel. So let's turn the camera around and take a close look at this watch. Here we have the Mido Ocean Star chronograph, a very nice piece, and in my humble opinion, a great value in a diver chronograph. I was going to say, hey, you know, it's a poor man's Seamaster, and there are similarities. I mean, you know, this is not a Seamaster chrono. This looks very much like the new Seamaster ceramic bezel chrono, but blue divers are going to kind of look a little like blue divers, just in contrast. And I'll be talking about this one again in this video. You know, the Rado diver, the Captain Cook, manages to look its own because it has its own design language from the legacy model. But the bottom line is that this is a beautiful blue diver chrono, and it has some interesting aspects to it that separate it from the Omega Seamaster chrono and a couple of the other chronos in a comparative price. Because I would say that the Seamaster chrono, an older Seamaster chrono, you can get for about $4,000, and this retails for about $2 and change. I was able to get this for $18. So it is kind of hard to compare this to a watch that costs twice as much. But that's the thing about this watch, is that it's less expensive, but it's not that much less of a watch. There's a little bit less face detailing, and there's a little bit less case detailing than on the Seamaster, but all in all, it is a beautiful piece. I mean, just look at that face. It's got a really nice high gloss ceramic bezel. It's got a very clean face, very nicely laid out. Doesn't have a lot of text on it, just simply Mido Ocean Star Automatic. Nice and clean and simple. The bezel has nice, clean, tight detents. One direction, as it should be in a diver. Then it bugs me when they turn and use the same bezel in a GMT, but that's a different conversation. And now, there's another aspect that I really like about this, is most chronos that have a tachometer bezel, it's a miles an hour bezel. But in this one, if you notice, it is nautical miles, so it is much more suitable to timing the speed of a boat, which, if you think about a diving watch, I think it would make a lot more sense to have a nautical scale on my diving watch as opposed to a land speed scale. There is the argument for multifunctionality. I mean, to go back to the Omega, this has a timing dive bezel instead of a GMT bezel, but I like that functionality with this because it adds to the capability. Now, could have gone with a timing bezel on this, which it has. It does have a timing bezel, but it has an internal tachometer scale set for nautical miles, whereas, well, this isn't the chrono, but the chronos that Omega has have land speed tach scales. I don't believe the Seamaster chrono has a tach scale, but then that would make sense because it is a diving watch. But if you have to put a tach scale on your watch and it's a diving watch, it should be a nautical mile scale like is on this Mido. And as I was saying, it does really have a nice, clean presentation. All chronographs are a little busy, and this manages to make the busy chronograph face a little tighter. Now, this is, Mido does rework the movement in here, and they have a serial number for it, but I like to think of the watches from their base calibers, and this is a base 7753. A base 7753 movement, and there's nothing wrong with that. The Valjoux 7753 now ETA 7753 is another one of those workhorse chrono movements, very robust and high quality. It's used in quite a few watches. In fact, this is a 7753 base. The tell is that it's got the hidden date pusher to adjust the date. The 7753, they all have 10 o'clock date pushers. So if you have a chrono, a bicompax chrono or a tricompax, because sometimes they'll just drop the running hours totalizer to give you a cleaner presentation like this. So it's a workhorse movement that's been used in a lot of pieces, high end and low end, and this is right about in the middle. But it does have some other features that I like. It has screw down pushers, which are always nice to have on a watch that is supposed to go in the water. The pushers don't make the screw down doesn't make the pusher waterproof. The pushers are waterproof when they're not being actuated. The screw down keeps you from accidentally using the pushers while you're underwater or even in a very humid environment. My brother-in-law, I sold him my Tag Heuer GMT skeleton, and he's a pilot, and he was in an incredibly humid, pressurized situation, and he used the pushers on his chrono, and water got inside. So having screw-down pushers is useful. Oh, I haven't wound this up in a while. I haven't worn it, so let's wind it up a little bit. Let's get a look-see at the action. It's a screw-down pusher, a screw-down crown. Has a nice clean feel. It's smooth, but it's a little, you can hear it wind, which is interesting. A lot of watches, you can feel it clicking along, but this one you might hear it with the microphone, not sure. So here we go. We're rolling now, just to make sure. There we go. And hit the pusher. Boom, there we go. So we've got a nice clean sweep. All right, this is a 4 hertz watch. So it has a nice clean sweep, 8 beats a second, and nice crisp plunger action. I like the fact that the second hand is a different color. Now, one thing I did notice is that the second hand doesn't line completely up, but it lines up close enough for government work on a 1800 watch, and the next time I have it adjusted, I'll ask the watchmaker to dial it in for me. But it'll be a while before this actually goes to a watchmaker, because this is a very robust movement, and it's a brand new watch, so it'll be years before I have to think about any of that. Let's see, screw the crown back in. It's a titanium case. It's a very, very nice presentation. It really is a good looking piece. Because it's titanium, it's not only a supple bracelet and a nice weight, it wears very well. So like I said, let's take this one off. Put this one on. And see, it sits very, very well. This is a 44 millimeter piece. I have the measurement tool here, but they publish 44. They shouldn't be off by much. Although, if you think about it, here it's 45 because it's a little busy around here. The bezel's 44. But it is a beautiful piece, and for a 44, I have I think in inches it's like an 8-inch or so. But I've got a healthy sized wrist, but not too big, I believe. See, now I got to go look back again and see what my wrist size is. I'll write it into the screen below. But it does wear well. I do have relatively big wrist and hands. I wouldn't recommend this piece for someone with small wrists. It has a very big wrist presence, and it's actually thicker. It's actually thicker than the Cartier, even though the Cartier looks thicker because it's slab-sided. The Cartier is actually a couple of millimeters thinner than this Mido with the same base movement. But then again, this is a diver. It's supposed to be a bit of a chunk, but because of its titanium construction, it's very lightweight and easy to deal with. I do like that it has a adjustable micro adjustment. It's ratcheted, and you can slide out a healthy amount. I would say about half an inch, centimeter and a half play in there, which is a lot of play. Clasp, and I don't believe it has a direct diving deployment, but then again, you could almost consider this for that, and very few people actually use the diving deployment anyway, so I just like to think of this as a very wide adjustment for hot climbs, or for maybe if you want to let someone else borrow it. There's a lot of flexibility in the bracelet. You don't have to do a lot of adjustment. So let's take a quick look at the back. It's got a very nicely engraved rear with a starfish and water motifs, and of course various information about the watch. And there's that modified 7753. So even though it doesn't have a display back, it's actually a nicely decorated movement in there. Let's pull back a little bit so I can move it around in front of the lens. It's actually quite a nice piece. So that's the Mido Ocean Star Chrono, a really nice chronograph, a great value, and it's its own watch. It's not a Seamaster Lite, but if you're looking for a Seamaster Chrono and you can't afford it, this is an excellent, excellent alternative, especially when you consider it's a third of the price of the new. Thanks a lot, and let's turn the camera around and close out the episode. So that was the Mido Ocean Star Chronograph, a really great value in a diver's chronograph, and a watch with no flaws that I can tell. Really a good watch and worth the money. Have a great day, and please don't forget to subscribe.